these acronyms are more for a marketing, branding positioning than they are really describing what the product is. And when you've been in the business as long as I have, back in the early days, they called it an MRP system.
Yeah.
And then they called it an MRP2 system with, II. And
Yeah.
then they called it, rebranded it to be an ERP system.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our number one priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the WBS Podcast. I'm Sam Gupta, your host and principal consultant at independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm Elevate IQ. Do you know an ERP platform that started with the investment from Unit 4 as the subsidiary but ended up being on its own and calling itself an ERP? Do you know an ERP system that got its PSA capabilities from the Salesforce consulting firm Appirio, which is now part of Wipro? Do you know an ERP platform that is primarily targeted at service-centric industries? If you have guessed FinancialForce, then you are right. In today's episode, we invited a panel of industry experts for a live discussion on LinkedIn to conduct an independent review of FinancialForce's capabilities. We covered many grounds, including its origin and alignment with Unit 4 and how it shaped up the target market for FinancialForce. Finally, we covered its strengths, weaknesses, and target industries. With that, let's get to the conversation. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. And if you're joining for the first time, this is part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We review one vendor or the solution independently. And for today, we have a very interesting solution. It is called FinancialForce. There is another solution in the Salesforce ecosystem, which is called Rootstock. We have already reviewed that, so we are going to look at this one as well. Before we do that, we are going to start with everybody's intros. I am going to start with my quick intro. If you don't know me, Sam Gupta, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent ERP and digital transformation consulting firm. On that note, I am going to move to Andy for his intro.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Andy Pratico. I've been involved with ERP software for mostly small to mid-sized manufacturers all over North America for about 40 years or some crazy length of time. Forever. Longer than Sam's been alive.
Yeah.
And I also uniquely, I assist companies and advise companies regarding how to evaluate ERP software. I've got a book that's on Amazon, and I do webinars and things like that. But thank you so much for joining. I hope I can contribute, Sam.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining, Andy. And if you are in the audience and joining for the first time, make sure you guys post your questions and comments. We typically try to cover them during the show. If you run out of time, we'll make sure that you receive your answers. On that note, Andy, I am going to start with the quick briefing on where FinancialForce fits overall with respect to their corporate strategy and in the Salesforce ecosystem, how they compare with other ERP systems, and what is going to be the sort of the highest win rate for them among the industries that they really like to target overall from the product perspective as well as from the psychology perspective. So FinancialForce is a very interesting solution. Okay, so obviously Salesforce has been trying to become more of the platform play for a long time. We have reviewed Salesforce. I don't know if you recall, Andy. We found that they really like to be sort of the CRM play, but at the same time, they are also trying to become more of the platform where other developers can develop the industry functionality. And in their case, the developers are going to be not small players as you are going to find with the other ERP systems. In their case, there are going to be some serious development companies that are going to be private equity funded, VC funded. So obviously, overall, Salesforce ecosystem is pretty humongous. I like to compare it with Microsoft. Microsoft has fairly large ecosystem as well, and they are more of the platform company as opposed to more of the business application. Now, Financial Force has another twist the way they started, Andy. And I don't know if you know their history or not. And I don't even know if you are familiar with the solution called Unit 4. And we are going to be reviewing them most likely next year. We had parked them because for until now, our focus has been primarily the product centric industries, but we have done some service centric industries as well, service centric solutions as well. So now we are going to be reviewing in Unit 4 shortly. So this Unit 4 company, and I'll give you a little brief here for Unit 4 as well, so you can connect the dots between the relationship between Unit 4 and Financial Force. So Unit 4 is targeted for not-for-profit. They are going to have probably the deepest functionality that you are going to find for really large schools, universities, and there you might not even recognize whether that's really an ERP, to be honest. Okay, that's how different that is going to appear, and that's how different those industries could be. Obviously, the basic accounting, financials, procurement is going to be fairly similar in general, but even in that, there are nuances in terms of the way they work. Their CRM workflow is going to be very unique and different. Their operational workflow is going to be very unique and different. So the way Financial Force started, the Financial Force had the Unit 4 as an investor in this company. So it started as more of the subsidiary built on top of Force.com platform or the Salesforce platform. But then, they became big by acquiring a lot of different solutions. So initially, they were not necessarily the ERP system. They started more as the financial solution. Then they acquired PSA from another company called Appirio, and their consulting division is with Wipro. I don't know if you are familiar with that company. That is more of the really big Indian company. They are one of the largest, almost like Accenture. So the consulting division is with them, but they built a product for PSA and they sold this to Financial Force. So that's how Financial Force got PSA functionality. And not even sure if you are familiar with what PSA stands for. It's called Professional Services Automation. It's really designed for consulting companies to provide that project-centric functionality. And when you look at the project-centric functionality, it's very different overall when you look at these business services, consulting services, companies like you and me. I mean, we are not necessarily a manufacturing company. It's very different operations and workflow.
Yes, I understand.
Yeah, so I'll pause there. I don't know if you're going to have any commentary there based on the comments I offered. Then I'll build some more on that.
No, not too much. You're right. I'm not super familiar with the Financial Force product, but I certainly do know how it has a relationship with Salesforce, and Salesforce, of course, is the flagship CRM system in the world these days. So I'm sure it's got some good features as well.
Yeah, so obviously they are extremely deep overall in the CRM functionality, and CRM itself, it's a humongous ecosystem. If you look at the amount of integrations that you are going to have, the amount of capabilities that you're going to have, when people think of CRM, they are thinking, okay, maybe module of the ERP, but that's probably 5% of CRM. CRM is far bigger. Yeah. In general, CRM is far bigger, and now the people who are going to be in the Salesforce ecosystem, the companies that are going to be really CRM heavy, or if they are utilizing Salesforce. And in general, if you look at the tech companies, consulting companies, they are massive users of Salesforce because their sales cycle is far longer. They are going to have very thick layers of marketing automation. They're really big on content in general. And then the transaction is like once in blue moon, they are going to get like $1 million deal. That's not their bread and butter. I mean, their bread and butter is going to be in that pre-sales process. So that's where they spend a lot of money and energy in aligning those processes. So if you don't have any other comments in terms of the comparison, I guess we have reviewed Oracle ERP Cloud. The way I like to think about this particular product, it's very comparable to Oracle ERP Cloud in general in terms of the industry focus, the way the platform is built. And I like to differentiate between your product centric industries and the service centric industries. These two are completely different from ERP perspective. Typically, you don't want to implement a service centric ERP to your product centric industry and product centric ERP to your service centric industry. That just doesn't work, right? So even in service industries, there are different layers overall. So the way I like to compare or think Oracle Cloud ERP in my mind is a very service centric ERP the way it is done. Obviously, they all are going to claim they can all do manufacturing. They are going to have a bunch of manufacturing logos as well, but it's not really designed for that. Workday is another solution that a lot of people think that it's ERP. They started as HCM. They built their financials. They have a little bit of procurement. And now, they are going to claim that they are ERP as well. But they are only ERP for the service-centric industries. In fact, there's a little correlation there between how these companies grew, but now they see themselves as competitors. So if you look at the typical sales cycle of Salesforce, Salesforce is going to go with Salesforce plus Workday plus ServiceNow plus FinancialForce. And that's why they wanted to have FinancialForce, because once they go to SAP, then they are going to lose everything, I guess. So that was a very typical combination. And that's why you had these best of breed solution. You had Salesforce, you have Workday, you had ServiceNow. And what else am I missing here? There's one more that I'm missing here.
For HCM, you mean?
No, best of breed architecture. When you look at the best of breed architecture,
okay.
So Salesforce is really big in that CRM space. HCM, we have Workday, and then I guess P2P solutions, Coupa, Ariba. Those are slightly different.
Oh yeah, there's lots out there,
right? So again, in terms of comparison, the other comparison that you're going to see on the slides, Salesforce had a big threat overall from NetSuite as well. And it's very interesting. I always thought NetSuite as more of the product-centric product because they were always heavy into the e-commerce warehouses. I never thought that product as more of the service-centric. But NetSuite's big focus is actually in the service-centric industry. That's where they win a lot.
Is that right? That's where it really focuses, eh? That makes sense.
I would not say that's
and project management as well.
Yeah, they are really big into that. Yeah. So tech, I would say services consulting, NetSuite is really big in that. And that's why FinancialForce, in fact, Salesforce, sees them as the competitor, even though if you look at the tech stack of Salesforce, they are all built around Oracle tech stack. Obviously, Mark from Salesforce, he had a little Oracle background, so tech stack is probably going to be driven by that, right? So there is a little, correlation there in terms of their technology exposure as well. But
what's the backend database for Salesforce?
Oracle.
Oh, it is. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Oracle, Java, traditional Oracle stack. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why you have a little divide in the market. If you look at the tech stack, the overall portfolio, you have the service companies, tech, media, telco, healthcare. All of them are going to be heavily crowded by Salesforce as well as Oracle. And now Oracle is pushing into healthcare a lot. Okay, really, so obviously Salesforce was always there. Yeah. Okay, so if you don't have any other comments, I'm actually gonna start with the slides.
Sounds great.
And then we can take some more comments. So here they are saying FinancialForce is a cloud-based application company headquartered in California. Obviously, there is a little correlation there as well because Oracle is in California, FinancialForce is there. So you obviously have that. That provides a cloud ERP solution for Force.com, a cloud computing platform from Salesforce.com. FinancialForce supplies accounting, billing, PSA, revenue recognition, HCM, and supply chain management. It's very interesting that they are saying HCM because obviously, in fact, if you look at even Rootstock, Rootstock started more as the MRP product. Even today, I don't think they have the quality. And typically, if you have to go to Salesforce ecosystem, you are looking at integrating at least 10 different apps to get the ERP functionality. And even after that, you probably might not get that, because obviously integration is extremely hard in general. So even today, I think Rootstock ended up building their own accounting module. Obviously, that's weak. But initially, Rootstock plus Financial Force plus a bunch of others, they were trying to sort of gang up
Evolve
again.
into a full-blown ERP.
Exactly. So here, but now everybody is trying to develop their own capabilities as well. So these guys that seem to be developing their ACM capabilities. Workday obviously has financials. They seem to be winning, a couple of logos, I would say, but here not a lot in financials. But yeah, they are doing okay. Here we have Financial Force was founded by obviously we have a bunch of people from Unit 4 and Salesforce.com. So that's where the background is coming from. It's really sort of the brainchild of Unit 4 or baby of Unit 4. I don't know what is the correlation, but there is definitely a tight affiliation, at least from the product psychology and target market. Then the way they started, it was a single ledger design that enables real-time financial management and is built on Salesforce.com technology platform Force.com. Okay, so initially when they started, it was just one ledger, and probably for the smaller companies, especially tech media, they don't have to have a lot of ledgers. In general, their financials are easier unless they are looking at $100 subscription based business model where they are billing $100 every month. Then their business model could be extremely involved as well. But for the most part, in consulting business, you are probably going to have monthly billing, or you're going to have the milestone based payment for most projects, and the majority of them are going to be super expensive. So you are not looking at million projects, you are probably looking at 100 projects. So overall volume is not the same as you are going to have for the product centric industries. So that's why their financial capabilities were leaner as well in the beginning, but then they grew, I guess. Okay,
so Salesforce is private?
That's a good question, actually. No, Salesforce is public.
They're public. Okay.
Yeah, Salesforce is definitely public. Yeah. Financial Force they are definitely private. They are probably not. Obviously,
Yeah,
Financial Force
look
is
at the
not.
money getting tossed into them, eh?
Yeah. But I'm actually shocked based on the acquisitions that Salesforce has done. They have not acquired either Financial Force or Rootstock, so I don't know what's going on. They have acquired some of the VARs, but they have not acquired.
I always thought there was some relationship there. Not it's arm's length, is it?
I mean, obviously, Salesforce is investing a lot in these companies as well. They are trying to build their own ecosystem.
Right.
The goal is really for Salesforce to win deals. Whether they have to buy these companies to be able to win those deals, or just investing and be more of the silent investor, I would say. But there is definitely alignment. Yeah. And these guys are getting deals because of Salesforce as well. So there's going to be a natural synergy. There's no question about that. Okay, so here we have some more commentary. In 2010 is when they bought that PSA platform. That's where they got the ERP capabilities. So Appirio is the company that I was talking about. They are more of the consulting firm. They still exist in Montreal. My understanding is that they are like one of the largest Salesforce consulting firm, and now they are part of Wipro. Wipro is like one of the humongous consulting firms from India. So here in 2023, during Financial Force's annual customer day, the company announced the acquisition of supply chain management, vendor-less software, and human capital management vendor Vena Workforce, and their intention to round out the back office applications portfolio. And I'm not even sure if I understand what they mean by supply chain management vendor-less software. I don't know if that is a name. It doesn't
sounds like an oxymoron, doesn't it?
I don't know. I really don't know what that is, to be honest. And I don't know what that means. Meaning, is it going to be like you don't have vendor and then you are doing supply chain? I'm not too sure what that is. But that's very interesting overall.
Yeah.
So here they are saying in 2014 the company unveils Financial Force ERP. Okay, so this is where they got the ERP in 2014. In 2014 as well, $50 million. Advent International is the investor there. 2015 they did 110 million from technology crossover ventures, and obviously Salesforce was always involved in that. Salesforce is involved in every single deal. That is going to be part of their ecosystem. There's no question about that. Okay. And obviously, one point I would like to note is any of the Salesforce applications are going to be super mobile native that we saw in the case of Rootstock. Rootstock had one of the best mobile experience in general. And anything that is built on force.com, the mobile experience is going to be native. And that's one of the best things that you can get in the Salesforce ecosystem. So obviously, Financial Force is going to have that as well. Not a lot of ERP systems can provide the mobile capabilities, and I'm not even sure if you really need that. Who is going to be opening up their GLs on mobile phone? I don't know if that is the smartest idea, but sure, you are going to have mobile capabilities here. Some more commentary here. So here, PS Enterprise, and this is the news article, I guess, is a web-based product built on force.com. So this was another acquisition, I guess, they did, and this is the Appirio one that they are talking about for professional services teams, and this is really quality development. If you look at the product screens, they have done wonderful job, which is mind-blowing because obviously this was a consulting firm and they could actually develop very streamlined product. One thing I do like about Salesforce ecosystem, the way Salesforce governance is overall in terms of their apps, for the most part, they all seem very consistent, just like Acumatica. So one thing you can be sure if you are going to be in Salesforce ecosystem or in the Acumatica ecosystem is the quality of development is going to be slightly better. I'm not going to say that every app that you are going to find as add-on is going to be equally superior, but some apps are going to be really good, especially if you have really financially backed developer developing. If you are going to have developers, developing from garage, good luck with that application. And you can probably do a better job there. Okay, so Salesforce.com and FinancialForce.com competitor NetSuite. So this is where they are referencing NetSuite as their competitor. And if my understanding is right, I think this article is from 2013. So they were recognizing NetSuite as the competitor. In 2013, I don't think there were a lot of ERP systems that were really cloud native as such. So then some more commentary here. Here we have some more. They are saying SAP is on again, off again. Cloud product business by design. So this is the comment on business by design product. This is the SAP's product. Okay. And again, when I look at the business by design product, it seems to be more of the service-centric product.
On the back burner now, is that right?
It always had sort of the questionable future in general, even inside SAP community. It never had sort of the backing for the product. Even if you talk to SAP resellers, they are probably all going to claim that the product is going to die. But obviously, this is probably the most mature product in the cloud that SAP has, especially if you talk about the operational functionality. But for some reason, even SAP treats it as more of the stepchild.
It was definitely one of the very first in the cloud, that's for sure.
It's almost a shame that SAP could not commercialize that, to be honest. Okay, it's really a big shame that it has the least market share, I would say. Overall, it's done really well. It's a cloud native product, one of the best. Again, if you look at the cloud product from SAP, business by design was one of the best product, but it never got any traction.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I've talked to customers using it, and they all are pretty happy.
Yeah, depending upon which industry you are talking about. For some industries, it could be a great product. There's no question about that. But for some industries, you are probably going to be needing a lot of add-ons. But SAP Business by Design, the way it was designed, it was really for those project-centric industries. That's where it has real depth. And again, it was really designed for the consulting-centric, business-centric industries. It has very deep product model, BOM model for manufacturing as well, but not everything that a manufacturer is gonna need.
Yeah, it's missing some pieces there, but for project management, it's very, very good.
Yep. But obviously, this is a jab on business by design that you didn't really have any sort of products in the cloud. NetSuite was stealing the show. Acumatica stole the show. Overall, from the cloud perspective, there's no question about that. So that's why Financial Force was really big on this one. But I don't know if Financial Force really picked up, to be honest. I don't know, if it is as hot as your NetSuite or Acumaticas of the world. It does not have as many installations or implementations. So NetSuite has pretty much had the entire market for mid-sized companies wanting a cloud ERP to themselves. There are a large number of cloud accounting products for SMBs, and Intech provides an answer to companies that have outgrown their small solutions but aren't yet ready for full-blown ERP. And there's a little background on Sage Intacct as well. And when we reviewed it, we felt that it was really an accounting product. I mean, I just did not see much of the ERP functionality in that. So that's what they are trying to say, that even today, Sage Intacct is very lean overall in terms of their operational functionality. They are trying to build that, but yeah, still today it's very very lean. Financial Force, that it had acquired supply chain management vendor less software. Again, they are using the same term. And human capital management vendor when a workforce, I don't know what that means. Probably that is specific to any specific industries. Okay, so these two acquisitions that they acquired.
Maybe it means vendorless because it's not designed for products. It's designed for human capital service.
Supply chain management vendor-less software.
Right.
It's
So
the supply chain
maybe the
management.
supply is actual consultants or something like that.
Right. I think you are right. So basically, you are not going to have procurement there,
Right.
or maybe you are going to have indirect procurement, but that's going to be supply chain management, and it would make sense why Financial Force bought it. So you are probably right there. Yeah.
Only guessing.
No, but that does seem right. Thank you so much, Andy. What that means in real terms is all that product. Okay, so I don't see much there. So unless you guys have any other comment. Here, some more commentary here. So this is the vendor announces, this is the funding that they got. And Financial Force itself is an interesting player, actually a subsidiary. So this is where they have used a very specific language, and that is going to be Unit Force subsidiary, which is very interesting. And Financial Force has somewhat cut the apron. So obviously they parted their ways. Because now Unit 4, now probably they are competing in every single deal. Because, where you are going to have Unit 4, most likely you are probably going to have Financial Force as well. So, which is kind of interesting. Two brothers or sisters are competing with each other. Okay, here the industries that they have outlined, and these are the right industries for them. So they have outlined business services, health and life sciences is very interesting. Obviously, these are also going to be the industries where Salesforce is going to have massive play. Typically, the go-to-market strategy for anybody that is going to be in Salesforce ecosystem, they all start with, CRM is easiest to sell, and then I'm going to be selling a lot of follow-on products. That's how Salesforce strategy is. And these are the industries where Salesforce is extremely strong as well. Any industries where Salesforce is going to be strong, obviously, your Oracle is going to be strong, Workday is going to be strong, because again, they all have sort of the synergy in terms of technology that they use. Even Workday is built on Java, and Oracle, because again, that came from Oracle as well. If we reviewed Workday history, Workday founder was from PeopleSoft. Oracle acquired PeopleSoft, so there's a lot of correlation there as well. So these are the industries where Oracle is really strong: business services, health and life sciences, media and digital communication, professional services and consulting, software, high tech and IT services, and telecom. So here, these are the dashboards, and obviously one of the best thing that you are going to find with any of the apps that are going to be as part of your Salesforce ecosystem is going to be the look and feel of Salesforce that you are going to get. In fact, the data model that Salesforce has, obviously it's one of the strongest data model in the CRM space, but then they have extended the data model for a lot of other applications. So anything that is going to be built on Salesforce architecture, it's probably going to have the enterprise flavor, taste, capabilities, whatever you want to call it. But most of them are going to have that power of Salesforce, which is what makes these applications really powerful in general. Now, if you look at the way they have visualized this, and Andy, you were talking about business by design. If you look at the business by design experience, to be honest, it's not going to be as rich as this. Okay, even though it is great. Okay, so you are going to get a little Gantt chart. You're going to have but you're not going to get these colorings that you can find in this particular application. Overall, if you look at the experience, it's done really, really well. The way any consulting companies like you and us, like to see the way our dashboards need to be built. Now, so this is the example, and if you look at their project, the project for the consulting companies are going to be very different as well. The way they like to structure, for example, if you look at the manufacturing companies, they are probably going to have your departments, divisions, sites, entities. You are probably going to have country, but you are never going to have something called practice. Okay, so these guys use a thing called practice because every single capability that your consulting company is going to have is going to be built around a practice. In fact, if you look at some of the engineering firm, design firm, architecture firms, when they are going to be sort of the combination of manufacturing, 30% manufacturing, 30% construction, and 30% consulting. So they are also going to be using terms such as practice. And that's where the lines are really thin in terms of, okay, are you a manufacturing company? Are you a construction company? Are you a
Right.
consulting company?
I
So,
got a cute little tidbit for you, Sam.
yeah, please.
My last name is Practice in Italian.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay. All
like a
right.
doctor's practice
So you were really designed for practice, I guess, right?
for this software. Yeah.
Right. But you are selling in the wrong industry, Andy. You should be selling in companies with practices,
There you go.
manufacturing. But nice translation there. I like it. Okay, so some more comments here. So now I'm going to read practices Pratico here. So here, so we have practices high tech, and this is how most of the professional services companies are structured. They are going to have capabilities such as high tech. They are going to have, let's say, if they are selling in manufacturing, they could have a practice called manufacturing. They could have a practice called distribution, life sciences. These are some of the practices that you are going to have. Manufacturing may have the practice as well, but it's not as formalized organizational structure. They will probably have a target market. From the marketing perspective, they might have a little industry, but their financial and operational models are not necessarily designed around these practices. There might be a little boundary there. Let's say if you are selling in medical versus non-medical, you might have a little walls there inside your company, inside your warehouse. But for the most part, the practices don't really have the formal boundaries in manufacturing. So this is where your project versus service industries are going to be different. You have region, and typically each region is going to have different capabilities because, believe it or not, consulting businesses, even if they are virtual, they are very regionalized. And that's why you have the regional capabilities there. And then you have account. Account may be used in a lot of different manufacturing industries as well. But again, it's not as formalized structure. The way their projects are going to be built, the way they are going to be built, it's going to be very different as well overall. So that's a real difference between your project manufacturing versus delivering a project as a consulting company. And again, the project companies or project manufacturing could have the billing rate as well, but the way they account is very different. The skills are not as relevant. In the consulting business, the skills are going to be extremely important because, you sometimes the resources could be $70 an hour, sometimes they could be $200 an hour. I mean, manufacturing, the average resource is probably going to be $20 an hour. So that's a real difference.
Cost.
Exactly. Yeah. And how much can you lose? Let's say 20%. Okay, sure, you are going to lose 15%, on a resource. So what? That is still very low. But let's say if you're losing 15% on $200 an hour billing rate, good luck with that. So that's why the monitoring that you are going to require for a project, especially for the consulting business, is going to be very different in general. Surprisingly enough, the in the demo data they have used a lot of euro. So I don't know if that correlation is coming from the European region or they are selling there again, because Unit 4 is a very European company in general. They don't do as well in the US so far.
Which country in Europe?
Unit 4?
Yeah.
Where are they based? Not, I think overall they will do well overall in Western Europe. That's my understanding.
So many companies, obviously with SAP in Germany, it makes sense, but so many of the European software ERP systems are in Germany.
Surprisingly enough, if you look at the average or a lot of software companies, even e-commerce companies, a lot of them are from Germany.
Denmark.
Germany, France, Italy, these are the countries that are doing the most software development for some reason. Yeah. So SAP, obviously, Germany is going to be very hard for Unit 4 in general. Okay. Anything that is going to be based in Germany, SAP by default. Even the consulting companies are probably going to be using SAP in general. They grew up using SAP, so they're really big on that. Yeah. Unit 4 IFS, they all are very European-centric company. They win a lot in Europe. Okay, so here's some more comments. So here, the functionality such as resource request is very different as well. And that is embedded throughout your process. So for example, when you're going to have an opportunity for opportunity, you are going to have a resource request. The way you are going to be doing purchase request. So these resource requests are not really your purchase request. These are the resource demand that are triggered by an opportunity, and these resource requests are going to be sort of firm up in your schedule. So, and by the way, the scheduling is very tricky in this particular space as well, because the skills that you are going to have, they are not necessarily replaceable. For example, if you look at manufacturing, there are very few industries which really care for the skill set. In general, most of the manufacturing workers, you can swap out very easily, unless you are in more of the electronics industry, where let's say you have a welder or a sorter. For those guys, they require certification. Medical, obviously, are going to have problems, but for the most part, the workers are really swappable. That's not the case. So that's why this is very different, and that's why the HCM workflows are very different as well. And that's the reason why Workday does so well in these industries in general, because you require the tight integration of your learning, certification, HCM processes as part of your ERP system. Okay, so some more commentary here overall in terms of the planned cost, planned hours. When you are going to be comparing this with the manufacturing projects, it's going to be fairly similar, but again, the tracking of margin is far more important in these industries than any other industries. And then you need to find out, okay, where are the problems overall in terms of the project. In general, even if you are doing expensive construction projects, you are probably going to require this. They are probably going to have similar workflow and life cycle. Okay, this is where the rubber really meets the road, to be honest. Okay, when you are looking at the life of a project manager inside a professional services company, this is what they live and breathe. Okay, so the scheduling, again, when we talk about scheduling, it could mean a lot of different things. Everybody becomes so passionate about scheduling, but when we look at service-centric scheduling based on a specific skill set, there's a very different project manager workflow, and they need to be really on top of this. And you're going to have things such as swap resources, split assignment, things, these feature sets you're not going to find in your project centric industries in general. Yeah, and all of that is going to be aligned with your practice region. And region and practice is just not a random field. It is actually part of your workflow, entire workflow. When you are scheduling, when you are costing, everything is sort of very tightly integrated. And again, it's a very different functionality compared to the other systems that we have reviewed so far. Now, even the Gantt chart is going to be very different in general. This one is going to be far more nuanced. In this particular case, you are going to have the start date and end date, and you are probably going to be estimating this in days. And in most of the manufacturing ERP systems, especially these smaller ones, okay, that are targeting SMBs, they might be estimating in hours. This in service companies, you don't really care for hours because you are not doing 4-hour jobs unless that is going to be part of your service maintenance. And again, service maintenance is a very different industry. They might have very short run jobs. So again, if you are a professional services company that also does short run jobs, I don't know if this is going to be a fit for you, because this is really designed for those long term projects that are going to be 3 months, 6 months, 8 months. Those are and really expensive ones.
Yeah, which is representative with the Gantt chart we're looking at right here.
Exactly. And that's why we have it in days, not in hours. Okay, so this is very important as well. So this is the prediction of the projects, and this is a very important functionality even in the case of construction. And some of the construction ERP systems are trying to come up with this. One of the things that you want to do as your construction company or as the professional services company, you do not want to work on projects that are going to lose money. Okay, that is a nightmare for the business. And here, estimating that, okay, the person who typically estimates a project is very highly respected in general in these organizations, because estimating that to the point precision is very hard. So here what you are doing is you are basically looking at past trends, and you are trying to predict whether this project is going to be successful or profitable, or you should consider this or not. And sometimes typically the vetting process in most companies is going to be you hire people like ND who are going to be qualifying the deals, and if the deals seem profitable, then it's going to go. But you don't necessarily look at the data, and that's why you have the qualification process as part of your professional service companies. So this is a big deal for these companies as well, that you are not going to find in manufacturing system. Now, some of the financial functionality is not going to be as intuitive. So overall, if you look at the object structure is very intuitive, because that's built as part of your Salesforce platform. So the way your Salesforce is going to look and feel it's going to be very similar. But if you look at, for example, here you have the edit option for your journal entries. Now that doesn't make a ton of sense, to be honest. Okay,
Yeah, it's
from the
odd.
accounting perspective, you even have an option for delete.
Why
And
would you edit them?
exactly, and most likely you are probably going to get an error, okay, that you are not supposed to be deleting this when you are going to be clicking in this. And maybe they allow this, I don't know, maybe you have an option to sort of allow or not allow. But in general, if you look at this from the accounting perspective, you are probably going to be shocked that now you can delete your journal entries. So who are we, QuickBooks? But overall, I still like the way their objects are connected and structured, and that is very easy to follow along in general inside Salesforce, and that's why people love Salesforce. Then you are going to have very nuanced scenarios overall when you look at the revenue recognition, revenue expense matching principle. When you have to bill and match the expenses in the same financial cycle, that's where this gets really pretty. And then you are going to have contract where you have one, let's say, prepayment for the project, and then you have the maintenance deal that is going to be, let's say, what is the right financial term for that? That is going to be amortized, I guess, over the period of the life cycle of the maintenance agreement. That's where you are going to be, you need probably the nuanced functionality for that. And that's where this system is really designed for that. When you are going to have either the prepayment or when you are going to have one-time payment, it's going to be implementation service maintenance agreement. And those agreements typically are going to have very different life cycle, not only from the execution perspective, but also from the revenue recognition perspective. So some reviews, and here, okay, so let's look at who is this person. So this is coming from Director in Finance and Accounting. This is the telecom account. So this is definitely aligned with their target market, 51 to 200 employees. So this is mid-market. My understanding of FinancialForce solution is they like to go after the really large accounts, enterprises. That's what they are trying to go after. It is not necessarily an SMB solution. The way they started, I think they started as more of the small account, but right now their target market is really the large accounts. That's what they are going after. So here, the accounting and finance department uses FinancialForce automation, accounting FFA for AP, GL transactions. Our entire organization uses Salesforce as our CRM, and I don't doubt why you would use FinancialForce, because you are already on Salesforce and you are a telecom company, which is probably going to have a million operational systems that have nothing to do with ERP. So you really need your HCM, you need financials, you need a little bit of procurement, and that's why you are appreciating this. And your CRM functionality is going to be far deeper. And we have seen in the case of Salesforce, they're really strong in telecom. They have very nuanced CPQ functionality for telecom insurance verticals. So obviously Salesforce is really strong in those industries. And they are saying we are able to automate AP and allow outside department to access vendor and AP information. So this is where your vendor collaboration workflow is going to be, which is going to be far more nuanced, that the external systems are able to get that. Financial reporting could be easier to use, so they don't like financial reporting. Again, I don't know where this person was coming from. If this person has used SAP or something like that before, they are probably not going to like this. Go ahead, Andy.
Well, I was going to say, FinancialForce obviously is targeted at being and offering a financial system. So it's interesting that this fellow is saying that the reporting is not that good. If they're used to SAP, well, I mean, this is only a less than 200 employee company. So that something doesn't make sense.
Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, Salesforce reporting is a little clunky, to be honest. Even I've used it. You will probably
right?
Yeah. It's not going to be, even some of the ERP systems nowadays probably have the better architecture for reporting. Yeah. Then Salesforce, you have to go to a report tab, the way legacy architecture was. And again, Salesforce was built in 1999. So it's been a little while. You don't really have the reports integrated in your functions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, accounting people, they are not going to like accounting. If you look at the way accounting systems are built, they are designed more from the business user perspective. So for them, it could be slightly harder in general. So here they are saying more out of the box reports for standard reconciliation. And again, it's not going to have as many reports from the accounting and finance perspective that you're going to find with the real financial system. So it's still very baby ERP in general. It does not have as much accounting functionality. Salesforce is great for CRM, but FinancialForce, not too sure. Yeah, some of the processes are time consuming. They are saying time consuming. I don't know whether they are more talking about just the number of clicks they are going to require, to do that, or really talking about the time it takes in running those processes. Exactly. And data model is designed more from the CRM perspective, so I don't doubt if they might be taking slightly longer. But typically, Salesforce only attacks, let's say, very tiny slice of the data object that they're trying to do. When you are doing the whole length of the transaction from your order to cash, procure to pay, that's where the real performance is going to be. And when you are going to have the tightness of financial data, a lot of systems struggle. It's very
the comment you made about ERP, and it's the same thing with CRM.
Yeah.
To look at Salesforce versus some of these little ones, right?
Yeah.
These acronyms are more for a marketing, branding, positioning than they are really describing what the product is. And when you've been in the business as long as I have, back in the early days, they called it an MRP system.
Yeah.
And then they called it an MRP2 system with, II. And then they called it, rebranded it to be an ERP system. And at each stage, all the packages, no matter how sophisticated or how simple, try to jump on the bandwagon of the new branding. And I'm only waiting for the new branding of the ERP systems, ERP2 or whatever they want to call it,
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And with CRM, Salesforce really is an enterprise CRM system.
Exactly. Yeah, acronyms can only go so far. You cannot be binary about these systems. They are really complex systems.
Just marketing, branding. That's all it is.
I know. So some more comments here. FFA is a great choice if you are already using Salesforce and want to report on KPIs directly from the source data. Obviously, the integration is going to be very tight. There's no question about that.
I've heard that, yes.
Yeah. Some more questions. So this is the FinancialForce for a growing small company. This is the computer software company, which is the right fit. Okay, this is like one of the best that you can get for the computer software. 51 to 200 people. So here's some more commentary. Since Salesforce was not made with accounting in mind, so even they are complaining about accounting. Building FinancialForce as a module on top of Salesforce gives problems because the overarching architecture of Salesforce cannot facilitate all the accounting requirements. And I completely agree with that. The FinancialForce integration team was not as good. Sure, that's more of the jab on their support and implementation. Don't expect your OEMs to provide consulting. That's not their role. So if you cannot afford to pay for consulting, this is what you get, I guess. Did not help set up our FinancialForce very well. They are product experts. They are not supposed to be consultants. Their customer support is also lacking. This is what customer support in general looks like for most OEMs. So I don't buy that. FinancialForce does not actually build financial statements reports. Nobody's going to do that in the market. Hire consultants who are going to do this for you. If your business is not a subscription business, FinancialForce will be easier to manage. And that is a little shocking comment for me, because now they are saying that, and subscription, I don't know whether this is more of the product subscription or the service subscription.
No, I think this is probably service subscription. So if you think about that, that's warranty agreements, right? Or service agreements. Subscription, you're paying a monthly fee for whatever it requires.
That would be for the product-centric companies, but I think this guy is referring for more of the service-centric company. Even that as well, you could have subscription, and typically Zuora was the product that was really designed for that. Even NetSuite does really well in that service subscription model, where you are going to have, let's say, you talk about, you said warranty, and did you say maintenance agreement as well, Andy?
Contracts, service contracts.
Service contracts and
preventative maintenance, right?
Yeah, I just want to be a little careful there, because there's a little nuance there between
your.
No,
it's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not a product. It's still. I don't know. I guess some service-oriented human capital type service companies are providing contracts as well, I assume.
So this is going to be, for example, let's say you have your ERP business, right? So you typically would charge hourly rate, right? But then if you, let's say, want to provide some sort of support that Infor or SAP is providing, then that support is going to be, okay, I am going to have the support agreement.
Like the hotline support, for example.
Exactly. That's a very different business model in general.
Yeah,
that's what I think he's referring. Yeah. So some more comment here. FinancialForce accounting by Salesforce. Accounting company, 10,000 employees. Mind blowing that 10,000 employees company is able to use FinancialForce. Okay, so what are they experiencing? System is slow, man. Natural. because obviously you didn't use the right system. Problems with action views, so we don't have much details. But I don't know if this can really pull off the workload expectations of the 10,000 people company. And by the way, here we are talking about just the finance. Okay, when you are going to have as complex processes manufacturing, good luck with that.
And these are older comments, though, too. This is 2016.
Yeah, but I don't know if there is a lot that has been changed, especially in the
Hasn't really
financial
changed.
force
The architecture
ecosystem.
hasn't really changed much. Okay.
Architecture, I would doubt, and I don't know how much they are selling, and based on how much they are able to sell, obviously, that's how much R&D money they are going to have. So it's not that they're going to change the product completely. Data model is not going to change. So yeah, I probably would agree with this comment. Here, construction company, 51 to 200 employees. Again, I think there's a little stress there. Either we have two small companies or two large companies. Wow. Yeah, so let's see what construction. So construction company is saying financial force accounting is being used by the accounting department. So construction company has used only for the accounting. And sometimes the construction companies could be a little different as well. Okay, so let's say if you are going to have more of the architectural companies, their professional services workflow is very strong in general, and you have a lot of apps in the Salesforce ecosystem.
Sure.
They start using a lot of CRM functionality, and they say, "Yeah, I've got another app, Financial Force. Use it for accounting." So that's how that process typically goes. But you miss everything in between, I guess. So here they are saying it is not directly used by any other department. I believe you, because it's not going to work. But it is integrated with our Salesforce.com platform, which is used by sales department. I believe you. Again, you are combining sales accounting, but everything else is missing. That's not how you run your construction business. So sorry, that's a wrong buy. Should not have bought this. It took a very, very, very long time to implement, and we had configuration issues after the implementation. Wrong product, you are going to get tons of issues there. So good luck with that.
I hate to say this, but very, very long time is a relative statement.
Exactly, I agree. Exactly.
What does that mean? Well, it took
5
me
years.
3 days.
Exactly. Let's see if we can cover some more comments here. We have 4 minutes. We'll open up for some comments.
Salesforce. Okay, these guys obviously like it.
Andy, how much time do you need for the comments? We have 4 minutes. You tell me. Do you want to do reviews? Okay. So let's do some more reviews then. So here we have, this is the transportation company. By the way, transportation vertical, great vertical for Salesforce. They are really strong there in general.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a great fit probably for Financial Force as well. And the reason why it is a great fit is because the operational workflow that these companies are going to have is very different. Your ERP systems are probably going to suck. So please do not buy any ERP system for your transportation company. This requires very different operational system, and that's why Salesforce and Financial Force is the right fit here. So here they are saying the reporting engine can be overwhelming for the average user. So this is probably second or third comment for the reporting. So it's not just one. So there is a real problem there with reporting. This is improving with each new release, but is not out there. What is the date here? We don't have date here. I don't know. It's probably the older one as well. While the company does not use purchase orders, there may be a need. So this is probably an older review, because now I think they have the purchase orders when they bought that supply chain solution. But again, that solution is going to be very specific to your service-centric companies. It's not really designed for your direct procurement.
Vendorless.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so there may be some need at some point in the future to the procurement and known operations, goods and service. Goods, forget about it. You get services, that could be a huge win. The functionality isn't currently supported by Financial Force, although you can create some custom purchase objects that you can do in any system. That's like pure development. So don't try that. Also had a simple, straightforward expense reporting. Yeah, so a lot of problems overall. 2 minutes. So we have good product, but has some gaps. No customizable financial statements. So again,
concerning.
Yeah, financial statements. A lot of complaints about reporting financial statements. By the way, this is from 2022, Andy. Can you believe this?
Brand new.
There tends to be
a few months ago.
Exactly. Some heralded solution to this, but so far every one of them has had their own shortcomings. We end up using, so they are using Power BI. By the way, Power BI is not supposed to be your ERP. Now, if you have to design your ERP on Power BI, you are going to have a lot of issues in general.
They're using Power BI for what? For analytics or for financial statements?
It becomes really crazy, Andy, the way it works. And I'm probably going to, let's talk about this issue. Okay. So typically the way the companies work is they are going to have a lot of shortcoming that they are not able to manage. So what they do is they try to create these workflows inside these dashboards and Power BI, just because it's slightly easier to manage. You can write
It
whatever
looks like
SQL.
it might work.
It's easier for business users because they can write SQL statements. But the goal
Sure.
of that is not really to create ERP. The goal of that is just create reports that are going to be easy. Financial reports, yes, it is a report, but it does a lot more than that. Comments, Andy?
No, I think you did a good job covering it. I think it, basically, Financial Force, its namesake, obviously tells you what it's targeted at. But as far as a project management, I guess a financial project management system, it's probably not bad, but it does seem to be missing some pieces.
Yeah, I completely agree. Thank you so much, Andy. So let's do the comments real quickly. I suppose practice is like a doctor's practice. Okay, so you have somebody who can match up your speed, Andy. Let's hope the edit of the GL entry actually leaves the original entry. Yes, you are so right.
That was yeah, I know.
We have seen in some system, Makola, I guess, they eat the code when they are going to be converting that to the order. So good luck with those systems. So that's a great comment, I guess. Andy, you have not heard of exact industrial excellent internet enterprise resource planning and continual improvement EAF.
Attaboy, Anders. Thank you very much.
Typical Anders comment.
Yeah, well, there's an acronym for you.
Exactly. Amazing, Andy. Any other comments?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
All right, guys, that's it for today. If you joined for the first time, this was part of our industry series for which we meet every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. We pick one vendor or the solution. So make sure you guys are going to be here next week. We are going to come back with another solution or the vendor. On that note, thanks everyone for tuning in tonight.
Have a great week, everybody.
I cannot thank our guests enough for coming on the show, for sharing their knowledge and journey. I always pick up learnings from our guests, and hopefully you learned something new today. If you want to learn more about Andy Pratico, head over to esoft.com. It's esoft.com. Links and more information will also be available in the show notes. If anything in this podcast resonated with you and your business, you might want to check other related episodes, including the interview with Jim Downs, who shares his insights into the importance of tracking meaningful financial KPIs to improve profitability and growth for CPG companies. Also, the interview with Alok Ajmera, who discusses the corporate performance management CPM function and breaks down its processes into the tactical, cost-saving, and strategic components. Also, don't forget to subscribe and spread the word among folks with similar backgrounds. If you have any questions or comments about the show, please review and rate us on your favorite podcasting platform or DM me on any social channels. I'll try my best to respond personally and make sure you get help. Thank you, and I hope to catch you on the next episode of the WBS Podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.